All right. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us in today's webinar, Nonprofit Marketing Ideas to Fuel Fundraising and Engage Donors. My name is Alex. I'll be a technical moderator today. And in our event today, we're going to share some creative marketing ideas that will inspire donor engagement and boost your nonprofit's fundraising. Whether you've crafted your own marketing strategy or are looking ways to advance efforts through a multi-channel approach, our experts today will cover how to take your nonprofit marketing to the next level. Certainly hope that you enjoyed today's presentation, and just for your reference, we'll send the recording and slides to all of you via email after the event ends. And we also want to encourage you to participate in our webinar. So submit your questions through the questions box in your control panel, and we'll be collecting those and having a bit of a Q&A session with our panelists at the end. Now, without further ado, let me introduce today's panel of experts. Dana Birchman is the Chief Digital Officer of the town of Gilbert, where she leads a digital team responsible for developing forward-thinking policies on social media, digital communications, web initiatives, and other tools to better serve the public. Prior to this role, she led winning communications programs at Arizona State University, MTV, and MSNBC. Christy Noel leads the digital marketing services team here at Mobile Cause. Christy advises and guides our customers with fundraising and donor engagement strategies that drive impact. She has helped countless nonprofits exceed their fundraising goals based on her expertise of the Mobile Cause platform and heart for digital fundraising. Now, our speakers have put together an information-packed agenda for you. They're going to be covering top nonprofit digital communication ideas, compelling content and social trends you should replicate, how to fuel fundraising through the power of marketing, and then marketing tips to drive donor engagement. So before we dive into this great marketing insight, I'm going to launch a quick poll for us. And the question is, what primary marketing channel do you use for fundraising? Now, please participate in this poll via this pop-up menu I just launched. So select your response and hit submit there. And I'm going to leave this poll open for, say, another 10 or 15 seconds. I just want to make sure we get everybody voting here. Excellent. We have about 50% of the audience voting. Keep those responses coming in, another 10 more seconds or so. Excellent. All right. So I'm going to shut this down, and I'll share the results with everybody. So it looks like we have a clear winner here with events and a close second place of direct mail and an even closer third place of email. Wonderful. So Dana, anything that you want to speak to in these results?
Sure. Well, this is really interesting. I obviously come from a government background, and as Alex mentioned, I'm the Chief Digital Officer in Gilbert, Arizona, and you might wonder, well, what does government marketing and digital marketing have to do with nonprofit and fundraising? But these are all things that we look at and try to really focus in on the cost saving that we can make for our residents and our taxpayer dollars. So our department specifically is moving away from some of these traditional methods. So what I'm really going to be focusing on are some ways that you can get big wins for a lower cost through using things like social media, maybe other methods that you haven't quite thought of yet.
Excellent. Great. Well, here I'm going to pass controls over to you. So it's all yours.
Great. Okay. So as I mentioned, I am the Chief Digital Officer in Gilbert, Arizona. We are a suburb of Phoenix. We have about 250,000 residents and growing. We expect another 100,000 at build out. So we're one of the largest and fastest growing cities in the country, believe it or not. And when I started here about 6 years ago, we really didn't have a dedicated communications team. And so instead of a traditional one, we decided to create a digital marketing team. And so our goal really is to actively engage our community with video, social media, and other online methods while showcasing updates on digital strategy and soliciting feedback. Now, we're really lucky here in Gilbert because our demographics feed into this strategy perfectly. And I'm going to talk a little bit about knowing your audience and knowing where to reach them and how to find them, and really go where your audience is. So in Gilbert, the average age is 32, and 80,000 of our 250,000 residents are school children. So we have a great opportunity to reach a majority of our residents that are millennial age online. So we're very fortunate that a strategy like this works for us because of that. And obviously we can track it along the way. And I'm going to be talking specifically about some of the ways we do that. Now, our department, as I mentioned, is very unique when it comes to government and marketing departments. We are called the Office of Digital Government, and we have all of the traditional marketing and communications pieces that you might see: branding, our website, graphic design, video, and social media. But then we also have some IT-focused projects that land in our department. And I think this is really notable because a lot of times, especially in organizations, silos can exist where certain technology projects, maybe it's a website, social media, might land in a department that doesn't have that marketing arm, that outward facing piece. And I think this is a really crucial piece of what we've been able to do in Gilbert, is take some of these traditional IT projects like open data portals, 311 apps where you can report issues, and bring them into the marketing department, or at least fold the marketing department in so that people in your community, your customers, are aware that these platforms exist. Otherwise, they'll live in a silo in your organization and won't be fully utilized. So this is really key. So the types of things that fall under my department are the things like I mentioned in traditional communications, but then also some non-traditional pieces. As I mentioned, we have a full-time dedicated person to social media, which is really interesting, and I'm going to talk to you specifically about that strategy in a bit. Now, what if you want to take this road to create a digital plan? It's very important to have a roadmap. I talk a lot about getting the buy-in from the leadership. That's really important. 6 years ago when I created this department, I was modeling it after the work that Michael Bloomberg was doing in New York City, and the roadmap that he'd created, a digital roadmap that was laying out a plan for the city, and I did the same thing. Really important that this roadmap is something that is embraced by your entire organization, not just in the marketing department, but really getting your CEOs, the heads of your companies, to buy into this. So our roadmap is signed by our mayor and our city manager so that everyone looks to this as a guiding key for them as they look to embrace marketing and digital strategy as a whole. So again, really important to get the leadership from the top down if you're going to embark in something like this. A big portion of what we do is video. My background, I came from a previous TV and video career in New York City, and that was something I brought to the job that I think at the time, about 6 years ago, people were really starting to embrace video. We're really focused on using video and imagery to storytell, short form and long form, and we do a lot with video. We really don't send out very many traditional press releases anymore, but more engaging content that people can click on and interact with. So whether that's a still imagery or a live video or short form video like I mentioned, or maybe something that's a little more in depth, it kind of varies. But what we do is really look at what the rest of the world is doing. And I know this might sound common, but in government that can tend to be a rarity. We kind of stop and have to change quickly, because when you go to bed at night and you wake up, technology is different, and the work that we're doing in the digital space is obviously different. So it's very important to be aware of what the trends are going on. And we had a real win about 2 years ago, and not everyone can get a big viral video and a win like this, but we were very fortunate that I have a unique team, 2 digital journalists on staff who do all of our video production in-house, and they're focused fully on video, and they came from one a news background and one had a documentary TV and film background, which was really interesting. So they bring a different perspective to the job as well. And Justin Timberlake, you may remember, put out a call about 2 years ago for people to create dance videos to his new hit, Can't Stop the Feeling. And many people jumped on this. The Memphis Grizzlies, a bunch of corporate groups, but I noticed quickly that no other city had done this. And I thought, well, if anyone can do it, it's us. We have the team, we can do this while it's trending, but it had to be done in a short amount of time because there was a window of opportunity where eyeballs would be on this and people knew that this was something that was trending. So in 48 hours, we made a call for people to come and dance under our water tower. We went out into the community and shot everything from our police officers dancing to people dancing in our downtown, and really got to capture a sense of what it's like in Gilbert, Arizona. We finished the video in 48 hours, put it out on Twitter and Facebook, obviously tagging Justin Timberlake with the hopes that he would see it. And sure enough, within 24 hours, he himself had shared it on his Twitter and Facebook page. So this was really exciting for us. Obviously, a big, huge moment to get a bunch of eyeballs on this place called Gilbert, Arizona that many people had not heard of. We had more than 500,000 native views on Facebook and Twitter and more than 100,000 on YouTube. So this was a great opportunity for us, again, to attach to something larger. And obviously not every time a celebrity is going to be able to retweet your content, but really looking to engage others to get more eyeballs on what you're doing. I even had calls from people in Nebraska at my desk who said, I don't know where Gilbert, Arizona is, but I just saw your Justin Timberlake video and I want to move there. Unfortunately, I can't show my videos today. However, we will be sharing this presentation with you when we're done, and you're welcome to visit and look at all of our video content because we have some really interesting things. And this is a real fun one that you should definitely check out. Another thing that we do, as I mentioned, focusing in on trends or hashtags or themes, and this is something that you all may want to think about, is we like to showcase our leaders. For us, it's our mayor. And instead of having a boring annual mayoral event where the mayor stands behind a podium and speaks at you and you have that typical rubber chicken lunch, we like to create an experience that's a year-long video and review that people don't have to come to an event to see, but can watch anytime from wherever they are, their smartphone at home. We bring this to them. We shoot what's called a digital state of the town over the course of the year. We just released this one with a theme, Life in Gilbert. We use that hashtag to incorporate into a variety of events across the entire organization throughout the year. We ask residents to submit content using the hashtag Life in Gilbert, so they send in photos and videos of themselves that we then are able to incorporate. We launched this at the end of January. We do showcase it at our local movie theater, which is a really fun event, but really the goal is that to make this something that people can enjoy from their homes. We have more than 50,000 views already on YouTube just from this at the end of January. So I think this is a really great way to engage people, sell people beyond Gilbert about what for us life is like in Gilbert throughout the year. The mayor hosts this, it's a documentary style. So this is a more in-depth piece, like I mentioned, that we work on year round. We get a lot of questions about what production company we use, and it would be really difficult to outsource something like this because you have to really be following throughout the year. So we do all of this in-house, but I would also encourage you to think of ways that you can showcase and bring your material that, again, you mentioned events as being one of the most important things that you do, but think about how you can take those events and broaden your reach with your audience, and people don't necessarily have to attend to still experience whatever it is that you might be marketing. The next thing, as I mentioned earlier, is engaging videos and following trends. Another thing that we did recently that I'd love for you to check out is a Carpool Karaoke series with our mayor. Our mayor happens to be female and quite young, typical age demographic of what the average resident is here in Gilbert. And so we want to showcase that. Many people don't know the faces of your organization and your elected officials especially, and she's someone who is very relatable. And we wanted to be sure we could get people to be able to see a different side of her and also connect them with things that were going on in their town. So we started doing some Carpool Karaoke video series. Again, huge successes. We had more than 500,000 views of this natively on Facebook, where the mayor got in a car blindly with one of our school resource officers, police officers, and they sang to Taylor Swift and Journey and danced away. And so this is really another great way for us to showcase, what we're doing in the community. We did one where she got in a garbage truck and they sang holiday songs, and we're about to shoot another one with her getting into a school bus with this new superintendent of our public school district. So really creative, kind of engaging ways that we're able to reach residents, obviously track how many views we have online, and this is really great. I mean, I think 5,000 people on average vote in our elections, but we can average 500,000 views on something like this where they're really getting to know the mayor as well. So it's a very powerful tool for us in thinking about ways that you can use video as well. Live video is an absolutely amazing opportunity. It doesn't have to be so highly produced as something like this, but you can use live video for many things. And I will get into that a little bit more when it comes to Facebook Live. But again, you don't have to have a fancy studio and a bunch of equipment. You probably have in your hand what you need to make the live video, and there's plenty of opportunities to do that. In fact, we recently done some live videos for police and fire recruiting and have seen them be really successful here in Gilbert. Social media, I want to touch on specifically, something that's really important, and I think, again, it wasn't at the top of what you answered, but I think it's an amazing tool, a place that we can be providing our customers 24/7 care and response online for free, except when we're advertising, obviously. But for us, as I mentioned, our demographics is really key. Knowing where your audience is. And for us, a large portion where we get the most people engaged is actually on Facebook. So going where your audience is, we're one of the only cities in the country that has a dedicated social media person. She manages our more than 25 channels. We're on Instagram, we're on Snapchat, we're on Facebook, Twitter, all of the above. Again, you have to be willing to embrace new channels. And if some channels aren't working, being able to switch gears quickly if they're not. But what we're able to do from a customer care service on social media is really powerful. And long gone are the days where people call their city and leave a message or try to get someone on the phone or send an email. Now people want to go to social media and they want to be acknowledged, whether it's a question or a problem that they're having, very quickly. So we take great pride in the team that we've made here, where during business hours especially, we're acknowledging social media comments within an hour. And for government, that's another rare thing where people want to do the 9-to-5 job and, well, who's going to answer questions after hours? Obviously, social media is 24/7, so it does need to be addressed. You can't leave people waiting over a long weekend for an answer. And if we don't have an answer, oftentimes, at least we acknowledge them, then we're able to go find the information that they need and get back with them. Advertising, I'm going to talk a little bit more specifically about, but what you can do with pennies to the dollar with social ads versus the more traditional mailers. We really don't mail very often here. It costs me $40,000 to mail one simple postcard without much imagery on it to every resident in Gilbert, and we don't have budgets like that. So for us, it's much more cost effective to be figuring out how to take those dollars and spend them online and social advertising, where I can actually track my ROI as well. I'm going to talk to you a little bit more about that specifically. We've created some social media ambassador programs where we're engaging with other super users in our community. And obviously the beauty of social media, it's about cumulative followers and views. It's no longer driving your viewers to one specific place for video either. It's putting your content in the form that it's received on all channels, whether that's a minute-long video on Instagram or a live on Facebook, but making sure that your content is appropriate for that channel and then customizing it for each of the different channels. Obviously, we've all come face to face with the major Facebook changes that have happened. And here's some quick tips for you to kind of get around some of the things that the new algorithm, I think, has hindered us in the past month or so. Scale back on posting so frequently. If you don't post as often, then your post will be more likely to be seen and engaged with. Do more live video. As I mentioned, live video is still a great way to really be sure your engagement stays up on Facebook. Create content that gets people talking, not just things that people are going to watch, but that they'll engage with. You want them to click. You want them to write a comment. You want them to share it with their friends. So that's really important, making sure that you're engaging your community. In Gilbert, we average 28 comments per Facebook post. The national average is actually 6. And so again, we have a very engaged community on Facebook, and so we take advantage of that. And learn to master Facebook advertising. One of my staff members did an entire webinar on just Facebook ads alone. And so if you want to learn more about that, I'd be happy to share that information with you. Advertisers will spend $40 billion more on internet ads this year than TV. And this is a huge trend that we all know is happening, especially in the last 5 years, but the spike in the last 2 years is incredible. So this is where advertisers are really spending their money. And so again, this is where you should be, because I think a lot of your viewers are going to be here. Long gone are the days of running TV ads. Obviously, again, this is a more cost-effective way to reach your audience. So if you haven't started advertising on social media, but you want to, 2 important questions to ask yourself. What's your goal and who's your audience? Again, if your demographic isn't going to be in a particular space or on one of the social media outlets, it's probably not worth the investment in time. So think very carefully about what you're trying to do, what is your goal, and who are you trying to reach before you just jump on social media. And then here's some 6 just quick key things to think about. What may work for one may not work for another. So if my Parks and Recreation team wants to get on Instagram, that might be great, but perhaps another department like Development Services or Public Works, it might not be so effective for them to be on Instagram. 2, you have the ability to customize each ad, so you can really take the time and think about, again, who's your audience, who are you trying to reach. Social ads, especially on Facebook, allow you to target a specific audience, which is fabulous. And 4, you can track your ROI, so you know who's seeing your ads. When you send a mailer, you don't know how many people are seeing it. You don't know what their return is to actually come back to your website or engage with you or use your services. But with any type of online engagement, you can track it. You have the flexibility to create modify, and perfect your ads. And as I mentioned, social media ads can be executed with any budget and will cost you pennies to the dollar when compared to traditional ads. I want to give you one quick example of how we've been able to tout success with social ads in our organization. And I think this is a great tip for you to think about who in your organization really could get behind you and support this, and where you could find some little easy ways to get some big wins. For us, it was our water department. They were spending $2,500 a quarter on ads in movie theaters before movies. How many people are really in a movie going to watch an ad and then go to their phone and sign up for a class? They were advertising classes for businesses and residents to save water. And they were very frustrated because no one was coming to their classes, and they were spending $10,000 a year on these ads because, quote, this is the way they'd always done it. So we asked them, you know what, hold off this quarter on your $2,500, give us a couple $100 and let us put it on Facebook ads, and let's just see what happens. Sure enough, the classes were filled, actually with wait lists. They had to add more classes in no time. And so now they were huge advocates for us, and they go out and they tell others in the organization, hey, you need to go to the digital marketing department. They can help you. They can save you money. They can save you time. They can make this easier on you. And so again, finding those people in your organization where you can get those wins, and then they'll go out and really sell the work that you're doing for you. That's a really, really powerful place to be in. I mentioned earlier keeping up with other trends that are happening on social media. For us, a really powerful tool that we've recently started to really invest in is NextDoor. You may be familiar with this, but our city, as a city and a government organization, we have the ability to post NextDoor, so we can send direct, customized messaging into people's inbox. We have over half of our households in Gilbert registered on NextDoor, and as you can see, we have 901 new members in the last 30 days. So people, by the month, we're averaging about 1,000 new households on every month. And this is a great way to be able to elicit feedback, but then use customized messaging, so we're not blanket messaging or saturating our channels on Twitter with things that not everyone doesn't care about if they're not all living in Gilbert. But we can direct message particular neighborhoods that are impacted by trash schedule changes or road projects. And this has been a great tool for us. Also for surveying, we use SurveyMonkey. A big thing is, you know, those old school ways of calling people by the phone. How many people have a home phone? How many people answer a door? And so we really think about what is the most engaging way to make it easy to survey people. And so we've had huge luck with using NextDoor to do these easy surveys. In fact, Arizona State University was trying to get cities to get information about bulk trash, and quickly we had over 1,200 responses in just 1 week. So again, looking for trends, things that are happening, and then going where those are and testing them out. Not every one is going to work, but for us, we've seen some real success on NextDoor, kind of taking over the traditional ways of long gone HOA meetings and some of the older forms of community outreach that we're no longer doing. I mentioned taking IT projects and putting the marketing arm on them. I don't have a ton of time to go into a lot of depth on this, but our open data portal is a great example of this. A lot of cities have engaged down in the name of transparency, creating open data portals, but unfortunately, oftentimes they live in the basement or in the siloed IT department, and no one's actually using them. So we created an outward-facing persona called Alex, who walks you through the open data portal and helps you to really understand it. Again, this is where the marketing arm of something that traditionally would be an IT project really comes into play. If you want to learn more, again, you can visit our open data portal and interact with Alex. Another great opportunity for nonprofits are looking for public-private partnerships. This is a huge thing that we've had to do in Gilbert because we don't have huge budgets. Obviously, we're all struggling and we work on the taxpayer dollar, and so I don't have budgets for mobile apps. I don't have budgets for coding contests. But again, looking to big popular themes that are happening, coding was one of them, and computer science, and thinking about homegrown entrepreneurship. And so we look to local partners like our university, Arizona State University, and we partner with them to create Spark App League, which is a coding contest for junior high and high school students, where we bring them from all across the state of Arizona to make the mobile apps and games that our town uses. And we are sponsored by Waymo, formerly Google self-driving car project, and partnering with the Smithsonian to really work at looking at kind of engaging that next generation of students in coding. Also, we have a really unique teacher training program. Again, these partnerships really allow us to dive into a space and get resources and access to things that, we normally wouldn't have the budgets to do. So get creative in thinking about who are your neighbors, who's in your community that you could likely partner with to meet your marketing needs if you don't have big budgets. We also have a podcast. So if you like what I'm talking about and want to hear more, we started a podcast a little over a year ago, actually a year and a half ago, called Government Gone Digital, where we focus on a variety of topics. We have more than 50 episodes we've released now, and we cover everything from live video to specific, one of them on the Facebook changes that recently happened. So if you're interested, you don't have to be in government to listen. You can visit iTunes or SoundCloud and find Government Gone Digital. I would encourage you to do that, and you can dive in a little bit deeper on many of the things that I've talked about today. And also, if you like Gilbert and want to know more about Gilbert, Arizona, you can follow us on any of the social media channels that I mentioned. So thank you all so much.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Dana. That was very informative and very interesting. I especially liked and relate to your open data portal, Alex.
Oh, yes. You'll have to check it out. It's pretty exciting stuff.
Cool. I definitely will. Excellent. Well, we're going to be transitioning here and switching things over to Christy. All yours, my friend.
Great. Thanks, Alex. Hi, everyone. I'm really happy to be here. As Alex mentioned at the beginning, I oversee the Digital Marketing Services Department at MobileCause, where we've worked with hundreds of clients on their campaigns of various types. So the suggestions that I have in the next few minutes are based on real-world experiences and campaigns. So really excited to share them with you and hope they help in your marketing and fundraising efforts. So if you're feeling overwhelmed and frustrated and not sure what to make of all this marketing, the challenge is real and you're not alone. When back in the day, there were only 7 channels for creating, 7 total for creating awareness for an organization or a product. Today, you could be managing 7 social media channels alone. Forget about everything else. As Dana mentioned, she's got 25 social media channels that she's managing. So there are a lot of options and a lot of opportunities, and it can be very difficult and challenging, and we understand that. But that creates it, make it harder and harder to break through, and harder to be seen. So as I said, the challenge is real, but there are ways to break through the clutter and get seen and create awareness for your organization. So let's talk about those. Let's talk about the good stuff. Where you want to go is to be memorable, but what does that mean? And it doesn't mean having a viral video, although we do all wish that we had a Can't Stop the Feeling video like Gilbert or an Ice Bucket Challenge. And certainly those are great, but that's not realistic for probably a majority of us. And the good news is it doesn't require to have a viral video or an elephant walking down the middle of a street for you to be memorable. You can be memorable by good storytelling and giving donors what they want and need. And what is it that they want and need? Several things. They want to understand your mission. What is your purpose? What are you achieving? Who are you making a difference for? They want convenience. So whether it's ways to give or ways to communicate with you or to ways that you communicate with them, make it convenient for them. Don't make them work too hard. Nobody wants to work too hard. It's easy and convenient. Recognition. Make sure you are thanking and acknowledging everybody who's a part of your organization, whether they're a donor, a supporter, a board member, a volunteer. Grandma was right. A little bit of a thank you can go a long way. So continue to do that. The impact. Let them know how their donation dollars are being used. Don't just accept their gift and be silent. Keep telling them the progress you're making, how it's being used, who its lives are being changed. Make them a part of the organization and share that impact. And they're more likely to give again. And then trust. You earn and keep their trust by continuing to deliver on these items and communication. You're going to hear me say communication a lot today because it is very important in fundraising, in marketing, and in donor cultivation. So keep all all of these in mind as you create your marketing strategies, because they should remain a key part of any marketing campaign. So what I have for you today are 6 marketing tips that will hopefully create a big bang for your organization. And a lot of them, it's beyond just marketing of your organization, but it's really creating an engaging experience for your donor. And what we're hoping is that by putting all these tips to work, you'll achieve higher fundraising, you'll be engaging with your donors, and you'll generate participation on a larger scale across your organization. So tip number 1, using multiple channels to cultivate donors. And if you go back to my original slide, we had all, at one point there were 7 types of marketing channels, and now we have 40 or more. But you don't have to utilize all the marketing channels at your fingertips to be successful. In fact, I would encourage you not to do that. So you definitely want to have multiple channels, whether that's text, email, newsletter, direct mail, social media. Some of you may have access to television and radio. Some of you have events. Whatever you have, that's where you start. Identify with what you can support on your budget. And if you don't have a large budget, then don't worry about the ones that cost money. Let's focus on the other ones that can be really effective and really efficient with marketing dollars. And determine what you are comfortable with as far as your channels. If you are not on Instagram, then maybe Instagram isn't the right social media channel for you. So you don't need to be on all social media channels. Dana's organization, as she said, has a dedicated person, so it's a little easier for her to manage 25. Most of the clients I work with, I would not recommend trying to do that. So drill down to the handful that you can keep up with, that you can continue to have a regular presence on, answer questions, and focus on those. Don't worry about the other ones. And when you are communicating, make sure you're telling what your organization is up to and everything that you're accomplishing. And don't be afraid to communicate often. One thing I hear from our clients is that they're worried about spamming their donors. And as a consumer, I appreciate that there's a concern. I don't like to be spammed either. But the reality is everybody's trying to break through the clutter and everybody's sending messages. So it often takes multiple messages just to get heard and just to be seen once. And if you aren't telling your message frequently, you're not even going to get seen. Forget about worrying about whether you're seen too frequently. You're going to be buried. So keep a continual communication schedule using your multiple channels, and hopefully, you'll break through and you'll be seen. And if your message and your story is compelling, then people don't mind hearing from you. It's when it's a bad message that people consider it spam. So make sure you're always talking about your organization and the great work you're doing, and spotlight a beneficiary or an update on a project, and that kind of content people will welcome into their computer, their phone, their mailbox. Tip number 2, go mobile. We all know that we are attached to our phones, and so don't fight it. Give in and make it easy for them to get involved using their phone or their mobile device. So what does that mean? You can complement any marketing campaign with an online component. So if you're doing direct mail, then make sure you have an online option to give. And you can do that by having putting URL in the direct mail, or even easier, having a keyword that somebody can text in and give directly. The direct mail might be what prompts them to go and give, but you can make it easier for them to give online rather than writing a check and mailing it in. If you are on radio or TV, or you're out in the community giving presentations, you're opening a documentary at a movie theater, then you can give them a keyword for somebody to text in right then and there, whether they're hearing it on the radio or they're in the auditorium. So again, make it easy for them to give and be a part of it in the moment. Social media. In the body of the social media, you'll want to put a link to your donation page. because people are on their computer, on their device, and it can have an active link. But on your images or in your video, that's when you want to use a keyword. Again, making it so that if somebody doesn't have the ability to link on a direct link and go directly to the donation page, they can get to that using their phone with a keyword and a short code. And your website, make sure you have an easy to use and easy to find online giving page. There's a large percentage of people who will go to your website from your marketing campaign, not through the link or the page that you want to send them to. I think it's about 25%. It might even be higher. So recognize that that marketing campaign component will drive awareness and get people to donate, but they might not act in the exact way that you want them to. They'll just go to your website when it's more convenient. So make sure that that ongoing giving page on your website is easy to use and easy to find so they can donate when they get there. And using text for timely messages is great. You can text out updates on the organization in real time. You can send information about an event right before it, or if the weather changes something, or you need to give parking instructions. You can use the text to encourage people to volunteer. Texting doesn't just have to be for asks. In fact, we would never suggest to any client that you start off by asking for a donation through a text. You need to have 3 to 4 compelling messages before you even get to an ask. And again, people will welcome text on communicating to them on a text on their phone if the message is good. So make sure you're giving them great content and information. You can provide them links to a YouTube video. You can provide links to a blog post or the page that showcases the new building with all the new photos. So you are limited to the number of characters, obviously, but you can send them somewhere else to get more information. You just use that text and that short message for the prompt to get them to where you want to go. Tip number 3, create your own day of giving. Everybody's trying to raise money on Giving Tuesday. We all do it, and we all know we need to do it, but you can not just wait for that day to create your own day of giving. So stop fighting with everybody else and have your own dedicated day. You can pick a day on the calendar that corresponds with maybe the anniversary of your organization, or if you're a pet organization, maybe it's National Dog Day or something that has some type of tie-in, or you can just pick a day on the calendar. Those can work too. Alfred University is one of our clients, and they just recently had their day of giving on April 5th and was very successful. So you can have a non-traditional day of giving be very successful. To do this, you'll get started a few months out, so that you have time to plan and put together your campaign calendar, figure out all your communication tools. You'll want to start communicating and sharing that it's coming so people know in advance that you're going to have this big day that you want them to participate with. Great strategies, try to get matching donations either from your board members or a major donor, so that as you get up to the day, you can then announce that all the money raised on that particular day will be matched, dollar for dollar or percentage, or however you can do that. So that often prompts people to give on that particular day, and sometimes even give more, knowing that their money could potentially be doubled thanks to the match. As you get closer to your day of giving, increase the communication. So again, you're going to try and hit them with reminders so you can break through and get their attention that this is an important day for your organization. On the day of, you'll want to send multiple social media posts and at least 1 email and a couple of texts. And again, working with clients, they've had some hesitation on wanting to send a lot of social media on the day of giving, but I can tell you that our most successful clients on Giving Tuesday or any other day of giving have a lot of frequency in their social media on that day. So that, again, there's a good probability you're not going to have every message seen by somebody on that social media channel. So you need to do multiple messages so that your odds are increased that they're going to see several of them so that they'll act on it. And what are you going to put in those messages? You're not just going to have asks. You're going to tell them why you're having this campaign. You're going to tell them how the money's being used. You're going to tell them how close to the goal you are and what's still needed. So we are 50% of our goal with $5,000, we can make it. Those kinds of messages really help prompt people to give. There's a sense of urgency. They know that they're going to be making a difference. They know that they can see that they're contributing to the success of your campaign. Tag your donors on social media and thank them. And then that opens up the awareness even broader. So as you're tagging them, their channels are going to see that they donated, and then maybe they're going to donate to your organization as well. And then be sure to follow up after your day of giving, not just thanking your donors, which obviously you're going to do, but it's okay to share if you didn't reach your goal. But let them know how close you came and how much you appreciated that they helped, and what your plans are to make up the difference, or what you learned so that you can do it differently and have a better success. But don't ever not acknowledge all the money you raised, even if it is a little shy of your goal. But hopefully you exceed it, like our friends at Alfred University, and then you can be bragging about all the great work you did and all the contributions that people made for your organization. Tip number 4, get your volunteers and supporters to fundraise for you. So I'm sure you have a lot of volunteers, supporters, board members, parents that are very excited and very passionate about your organization. So turn that passion into a fundraising channel by having a peer-to-peer fundraising campaign. Peer-to-peer fundraising campaigns are great because they bring in new donors. So typically 5 out of 8 donations of a peer-to-peer campaign are brand new to the organization. So you can boost your donor database and boost the people that you'll be able to contact after the fact. But just remember that you'll probably want to cultivate those donors just a little differently than you do your other donors, because there's a good probability that somebody donates in a peer-to-peer campaign because Christy asked. They might not be as aware of your organization. So, but you can create them, turn them into long-term donors by letting them know about your organization and sharing the good work that you've been doing, and cultivate them just a little bit differently, probably more organization information to turn them into longer-term donors and not just through a peer-to-peer campaign. The key to a successful peer-to-peer campaign that I have seen in working with mobile cost clients is communication to the fundraisers. So we have great peer-to-peer platform. It's got customization abilities, it's got texting, it's got keywords, it's got social media links, all the great ways for a fundraiser to bring in new donors and generate gifts for your organization. But what you need to do as an organization is communicate with those volunteer fundraisers to keep the campaign top of mind. So send them weekly communications, social media posts, giving them inspiration and fundraising ideas. Give them fundraising challenges. Have fundraising challenges, and it doesn't have to always be who brought in the most money. It can be in who brings in the most donors in 1 week, or the percentage of increase from wherever you were last month or last week or even yesterday. You could have a drawing for everybody that raises at least $1, and they go into a drawing for something fun, or maybe it's something, the ability to name something, name the new puppy, or it doesn't even have to have a monetary value, but it's a great way to keep people engaged and ignited and continue to keep your campaign at the forefront of their activities. And with that, I would recommend that if you're going to do a peer-to-peer campaign, that you have a specific time limit. So whether it's 1 month or 2 months, you probably don't want to go more than 3 for sure, but you want to have this sense of urgency for the fundraisers and the donors. You don't want it to go on too long and let people kind of become dormant with it. So having this deadline over their heads, always helps all of us, and it doesn't any different with a fundraiser. Tip number 5, video. And Dana did a great job at talking about the importance of video and the impact that it's had for the city of Gilbert. So I would encourage you to embrace video as well. It's really a great way to not only have fun and showcase your organization, but it can create an emotional connection with your donors. So there's no better way to have your passion on showcase than through a video. And studies have shown that video is much more effective in igniting a passion or a connection than something being read. So the great thing about video is it's also proven successful, and that 50% of donors 57% of donors donate after watching a video. So you can put a video on your donation page and have somebody see that, and then right then and there they can give a donation. Videos also have a long life, so you can use them not just in that one campaign, but through social media and YouTube and other promotional tools. You can continue to use that video throughout the months and years. It doesn't have to be high production quality. We don't all have what the city of Gilbert so greatly has is a production staff. So use your phone and create a selfie video. In fact, a lot of times a selfie video is more effective than a high production video because the passion really does come through and it does feel more grassroots and you feel more tied to the organization and what they're trying to show you. What can you do with a selfie video and how would you use it? You can interview a beneficiary. Talk to somebody who's been impacted by your organization. Let him or her tell the story and with how their lives has changed and what their life looks like now as a result. You can have your executive director share an update on the organization or a project. You can show your organization in action. So if you're distributing coats or preparing meals, or you go live on a dog adoption day, there's any way that you're out in the community making a difference. You can live Facebook that, or Facebook Live, YouTube Live, create a video. And the nice thing is if you use Facebook Live or YouTube Live, they will go to the top of your feed, so you're more likely to be seen, and then they'll remain on your Facebook page after it goes live. So you'll still get the benefit of having that show up high in the results for people to see what you're doing. And then finally, tip number 6, break the fundraising mold. So most of you use events as your #1 fundraising campaign, and those are expensive. They're very effective, but they can be expensive. They can take a long time to plan, and there's an investment both for manpower and on your budget. So I encourage you to think about different ways that you can create a fundraising campaign that will have fun, ignite passion, and create new donors and bring in new donations. A couple of the clients that we've had have worked on these types of campaigns where they've had voting contests. So your donors can vote through donations, and whether it's a dancing contest or a favorite chef or a favorite meal or a favorite restaurant. We've had favorite bartenders, and $1 a vote is often how they do it, and then who's ever raised the most money becomes crowned the favorite chef of the city. You can have a sponsor a fill in the blank campaign. So you can use a crowdfunding template like our Mobile Cause one, and instead of a team, make each of those a different type of sponsor. So it could be a child, a dog, a tree. We have a lot of universities that do it by department or hospitals. So we have the medical department and we have the athletic department, and each of those has their own campaign, and you can sponsor one of those types of organizations or a child. Or you can set it up for a special day celebration. So we have organizations that set up a donation page for weddings and birthdays and celebrations. And so then I'm having a birthday, and instead of giving gifts, I'm going to have a donation page, and I want people to donate money to my favorite organization on my birthday. Or if I'm getting married, they can contribute to an organization in lieu of a wedding gift. So it can be anything that you can think of that somebody would want to celebrate, and maybe there's something special in your organization through a donation. Project funding. We have organizations who have used our platform to have people support an idea or a business plan. We had prisoners working on business plans, and the organization funded them when they were out of prison by having donations go towards the specific business plan that somebody liked and wanted to sponsor. You could also do a pledge-a-thon, whether that's the traditional running a lap at school. We've got pledge-a-thons for spelling bees. So people pledge to donate based on the number of words spelled correctly in their school spelling bee. So there's a lot of fun ways you can have a great, fun, engaging fundraising campaign that doesn't require a lot of the overhead and investment that some of the other campaigns require. So in closing, I just want to confirm with you that marketing is fluid and ever-changing, but it should be fun and exciting at the same time. And don't be afraid to try new things. And don't be afraid to stop doing the things that don't work or haven't been as successful for you. And then adjust as you learn and grow. So try something. If it doesn't work, try something new. If it does work, figure out how to make it better and more effective the next time. And embrace the fluidity of marketing and all these tools that we now have online to make it easier and faster to get out in front of donors and supporters. And throughout all your marketing campaigns, communication is key. So you need to continue to communicate to raise awareness, inspire your volunteers and your donors, and continue to do great work in your community. So with that, I wish you the best of luck, and I will send it back to Alex.
Wonderful. Thank you, Christy. Thank you for your communication and for sharing such valuable information with us. Now, just as a quick reminder to our audience, if you haven't yet, please submit any questions you may have into the questions box there on the side of your screen in your control panel. If that's hidden from your view, just click on that orange box, the white arrow in it, and then we'll pop back open your control panel and you'll find the questions box there. Now, before we jump into Q&A, however, I have one more poll I'm going to launch. And the question is, where do you need the most marketing help? So again, I'll queue up our little interactive interface here and select your response and hit submit. We'll leave this open for around 30 seconds or so. Our options here are better identifying our donor base potential, developing content and storytelling, social media strategy and implementation, marketing strategy, or perhaps marketing for fundraising. I'll leave this open for another 5 seconds or so. Excellent, and I'm going to close the poll out and I'll share the results with everybody. Wow, very close here. So I would say almost a split between better identifying our donor-based potential and social media strategy and implementation, with a close third place there of marketing for fundraising. Cool. Thanks for all of your input there. So at this point, we're going to switch gears for a few minutes just to answer some questions that folks may have. And let's see here. Our first question I'm going to have here for you, Dana. So we are just starting up. Do you have any advice for making a roadmap?
Yes, absolutely. So as I mentioned, when we created our digital roadmap, I would say look to success of others. So I kind of set my sights high and looked at New York City and the work they were doing and the roadmap they were doing, and then scaled that for what would make sense for Gilbert. But like I mentioned, the advice I would give is to be sure you have the buy-in from the top down before you go down that road with whatever digital or marketing strategy you might be thinking about. Because again, it's really important that you have other advocates, especially at the top, who will be supporting you along the way and with those efforts. So I would also be sure that you don't have rules, policies, and regulations getting in your way. I know there was a big fear around social media for us with that. That was a large portion of our strategy. And so really having to move away from putting rules, restrictions, and policies in place that would make people fearful of engaging on social media or what type of comments they might open themselves to, but instead thinking of it differently and focusing on the engagement, the customer service, the more positive interactions that you can have. And then obviously, you know, being able to track all of that. So I would start at the top and be sure that before you go down this path of creating a roadmap and a plan, you really are sure that this is the direction that the organization wants to go, and having that buy-in is going to pay off for you in the long run.
Indeed. Excellent. Thank you, Dana. Next question here is for Christy. What is a keyword? Is this only for a text to give type scenario or option?
So great. I'm sorry if I wasn't clear on that. Keyword is a word that somebody can use to text into an organization, and it can be used to generate donations. But it can be driven to anything that you'd want it to be as well. So we've had people use keywords to text in, you know, donate, and you'll land at donation page, but some people use, text in and use their organization number, and it can change. It can be evolving. So you can use it to send people to a volunteer registration page, or a link to your latest blog post, or a YouTube video. So you can control what that keyword and short code delivers the information. So it's just a great way for somebody not having to remember the URL of your organization, especially if it's a long one, or if it's got a slash and some extra page URL letters and numbers in it. Just by having, basically they send a text to a short code, which is a 6-digit number, and they have a one-word keyword, and then that delivers your sponsor, your donor, your volunteer to directly where you want them to go.
Interesting.
That's a mobile cost feature.
Indeed. All right, thank you. So next question here for Dana. How do you suggest I get buy-in from my board to do things like a flash mob video or carpool karaoke?
Oh, great question. So as I mentioned, buy-in is really important. Obviously, being sure you have that before you go down this road or invest a lot of time or resources into this. I should mention that I don't have a very large team. My team is actually quite small in comparison to any other city you would find. I have 8 people. My neighboring city, Chandler, some exact size and demographics, they have 18 people. It's about the types of positions I have, so they're just focused on different things. And so I just wanted to make mention of that because I think it's really important. And again, the video doesn't have to be so highly produced like a carpool karaoke might be. However, that's just attaching a bunch of GoPros, and it's not really anything that's that fancy. It might look a little fancier than it is, but really to get the buy-in, it's to show the success you have. So you do need to be willing to take some risks and maybe fail if it doesn't work. But when you do have a success and showing the numbers, the analytics behind it, the engagement that you're able to make online, that's where you're really going to get the buy-in from people. When our mayor sees how many people engage with her, and then obviously we share those comments with her, look at all this feedback you got, people that say, oh, I want to hang out with her, I want to be friends with the mayor, and they tag their friends, did you know our mayor was cool, stuff like that. That's where the really power comes in with the engagement. So when you're able to show that success, then people, they get it, they really like it, and they want to be a part of it. I should also mention, when it comes to the content, you really want to focus on more engaging content over quantity. Not posting as often, but really thinking more carefully about what it is exactly that you're posting.
Yeah, good point. Okay, so time is almost up, so we have time for one more question, and I'm going to pose this to you, Christy. Can you tell us more about hiring our marketing services? Do you recommend that if I have a small staff?
If you have a small staff, it is probably not cost effective for you to hire an outside marketing agency. And then you have to determine what work will they do and what work will you do, and how do you get them up to speed quickly. One of the nice things about the digital marketing services team here at MobileCause is that we will work as a partner with you, but do a lot of the legwork for you as far as putting together the campaign calendar and a lot of the content, and setting up a lot of the forms and the pages that support the campaign. And so we can help you get up and running pretty quickly and very cost effectively over a marketing agency, and yet still provide you content and a social media calendar and some of the things that you will need to go into that campaign.
Excellent. Okay, great. So I want to thank everybody, and I know we're running out of time, so if you have questions that haven't been answered yet today, please just email marketing@mobilecause.com. Also, if you heard something today that you're interested in, and if you'd like to learn a little bit more, you're welcome to connect with us or to a fundraising expert at MobileCause by answering the survey at the close of our presentation today, or you can call the number on screen here, 888-661-8804, or visit go.mobilecause.com/request-demo. So you can find that URL at the bottom of the slide right here. Once again, thanks to our presenters and thanks to all of you for attending. You'll receive the webinar recording and the slide presentation shortly, so keep an eye out in your inbox for those. That all being said, have a wonderful day. Blessings on all of you, and cheers. Thank you again.